Okay, ladies, we're going to just wait a few minutes so I can get the Zoom meeting going. Okay, everybody ready?
Recording in progress.
Okay, thank you. Hi to all the ladies on Zoom, and hi to all the ladies on YouTube. Okay, so Pesach Sheini Sameach. I don't know if you say it like that. Today's Pesach Sheini, the 14th day of the month of Iyar. Tomorrow is the 15th day of the month of Iyar, the day that the man began to fall. And Iyar in general is a healing month. I titled the Shir, Giving Yourself and Others a Second Chance, because that's probably one of the most healing things that you could do, is to give yourself a second chance, to give other people a second chance, to give Hashem a second chance, to give Torah and mitzvahs a second chance, to give optimism a second chance, to give a healthy lifestyle a second chance or a second millionth chance, because we always keep starting again and again and again. And so that's the energy of today. Everybody had a little piece of matzah, either last night or today. And you could still have your little matzah. And you could light a candle for Rameir Balanes, who's today's his yahrzeit. And also Rabbi Chunya Bar Eli, right? Let me see. 1 second. Oh, I can't hear it. Sorry. That is also his yahrzeit. In general, once you start lighting candles, you could light for Moshe Rabbeinu, you could light for all the tzaddikim, all the whatever. If you want to light a candle for Meir Balanes, then you might want to say his famous Pitgam, Eloah Meir Aneni, which means, God of Meir, answer me. You know the famous story about how Rabbi Meir wanted to free there was a sister-in-law who was captured by the Romans, and he wanted to free her, and he brought a bribe for the jail guards, and the jail guards was afraid to set her free. And so Reb Meir Balanei said, Reb Meir said, it's Reb Meir of the Reb Meir, the husband of Bruria, the students of Rabbi Akiva. So he said, just say these words, Eloah Meir Aneni, which means, he told the guard, the non-Jewish Roman prison guard, say these words, the God of Meir should answer me. God of Meir should answer me, and you'll be protected. And the guard didn't believe him, and so Meir Balanes proved it to him. He took some dirt and he threw it at other guards, and they turned around, they saw him, and they were going to kill him, and then he just said the words, Elod Meir Aneni, and he disappeared, and they didn't hurt him. Anyway, the guard indeed took the advice of Meir, and he freed the girl. He took the bride, he freed the girl, and later on, when they found out that he had done this, the Romans wanted to kill him, and he said the words, Elod Meir Aneni, God of Reb Meir, answer me, save me, and Hashem saved him. And we all know that Reb Meir Balanes, not only did he give us a pikam for protection, but he also helped us to find lost objects. Right? He says, we say in his name, everyone is in the aspects of not seeing until Hashem opens his eyes. Right? That's the saying that we say. Kol man to ask the cheskasumin. Everyone is blind until Hashem opens his eyes. You say that if you misplaced something and you want to find it, you give some charity, and you say this charity is in the honor of a Meir Balanes. Then you say the teaching that he said, Kolman b'cheskasumin. Everyone is in the aspect of a blind person, until Hashem opens his eyes. Elod Meir Aneni, Elod Meir Aneni, Elod Meir Aneni. You say that 3 times, then you look again for your lost object, and you'll find it. And I have many, many stories, I'm sure so do you, of people who have all kinds of miracles that happen to them. I have a friend who once lost a paycheck, and she needed that paycheck. And she looked everywhere, and she couldn't believe it because she always put the paycheck exactly in the same place. Couldn't find it. And finally, and I told her, say this, and she said, and she still couldn't find it. And finally, after 2 months, she found it. And it was exactly in where she put it. It was in her wallet, but it was between 2 pieces of other paper, and she just didn't unfold them. And she said that Hashem did her such a big favor, because had she found the paycheck originally when she first got it, she would have spent it. And now she saved it. She managed 2 months without having that paycheck. And at the end of these 2 months, she got a very, very big bill. Her car was towed, and she really had a very big bill, and she wouldn't have had the money otherwise. And then that's exactly when Hashem said, okay, here's your check. Hashem does that to us. Hashem gives us our salvation exactly when we need it. And so, again, the customs today, I'm sure you've heard it in the previous classes, are to eat some matzah, to remember the story of Pesach Sheini, where the people in the desert got a second chance to do Pesach through no fault of their own, and just the opposite, through their merits. They had been involved in one mitzvah. Because they were involved in one mitzvah, they were precluded from doing the mitzvah of offering the Pesach, Korban Pesach, and they were in a lot of pain from worrying that they wouldn't have the opportunity to participate in the Korban Pesach and the Pesach sacrifice. And so they called out, they screamed out from the depths of their heart, why should we be deprived of a mitzvah we wanted? And Hashem said, I was waiting for that scream. It wasn't just that they asked the shaila. Sometimes we have a question, we ask a shaila, we ask a question to a rav, to a rabbi, sometimes hoping for a lenient answer. They were not hoping for a lenient answer. They wanted to do the Pesach Sheini. They wanted to do the Korban Pesach. They wanted to do the mitzvah. And they didn't want to have like a way out. But the point is that had they just asked a shaila, a question out of curiosity or out of perhaps just wanting to do the right thing, had they asked it in that way, they wouldn't have brought down that halacha. But because they were in so much pain, they wanted to fulfill that mitzvah. They felt that their soul, is part of the Jewish people, and how could we not participate in the Korban Pesach, and how can we not participate in the thanking of God for the Yetzias Mitzrayim, for the exodus from Israel, from Egypt, and because it was from the deepest depths, the bottom of their heart, the screaming of screaming, even though it might not have been vocally loud, but it was emotionally and spiritually from the deepest part of them. Hashem brought down the halacha in their honor. And so that's remembering that whatever we really, really scream out for, what we really, really, really want is Hashem will do for us. Now, that's a big statement that I just said, because we really, really, really want Mashiach. We really, really, really want this war to be over. We really, really, really want the Beis HaMikdash. But that's a big and a global transformation. It's not just like a private thing. For Mashiach to come, I don't know the percentage and the concentration of what we need to call out. There were many tzaddikim. There were many tzaddikim who, on their deathbed, the last thing that they said was, "Hashem, my biggest regret, my biggest sadness in my life was that I wasn't big enough to bring, my avodah wasn't great enough to bring Mashiach and the Beis HaMikdash." That's what they felt on their last breaths in this world. So, and we feel that, we want, but we don't know how much we want. Anyway, Baruch Hashem, it is not dependent on us. At this point, we're in the end stage of the exile and the beginning of the redemption. Everybody can see that. And so it just depends now on Hashem's decision. We've done everything. Like even the Lubavitch Rebbe, who passed away so many decades ago, he said in those days, he said, we've done everything. Everything is there. We did everything on the tikkunim. Me and you can't see tikkunim. We can't see the repairs that we need to do in the cosmic world and the spiritual levels. We can't see that, but tzaddikim can see that. And he was a tzaddik, and he said, we've done everything. So Hashem has to decide. And we see that Hashem began such interesting miracles this week. I didn't count the days. Of course, I am counting the Sphira days, but I didn't count the days from the time that we had that Shabbos of missiles from Iran. But one of the tzaddikim, one of the Sephardic poskim, he did. And he said that it was exactly 30 days that since the president of Iran signed on the order to bomb us, and that was the day that he was killed. And he said that somehow his death was skila, sreifa, hereg, and chenek. Skila because his body was broken, sreifa because his body was burned, hereg because he was in a mountainous area, his body was broken, and chenek because they lost oxygen in the masok, in the helicopter. And not just that, but there were wild animals there to, eat them up. Whatever. No Jew should ever suffer anything like that. But Bezrat Hashem let's hope that Hashem is starting with him and going to go through all the evil people. I heard now that the wife of the president of Syria, she's half dead with a disease, and the king of Saudi Arabia, he is half dead with a disease. So let Hashem finish all the jobs, and let the world. What the main thing is that the world should recognize it's Hashem. It's not just about our taking revenge and our feeling good about ourselves and whatever. It's not about that. It's about Hashem's kingship must be established in planet Earth. The Creator, Hashem Baruch Hu, His kingship, His rulership, His dominion has to be established in this planet, and all of the creatures of this world have to acknowledge Hashem Hu HaElokim. Hashem Hu HaElokim. It's about Hashem. And everyone knows that the rising anti-Semitism is really a rising anti-God. And so Hashem has to assert himself and make a Kiddush Hashem by showing the anti-Semitic leaders of the world and the anti-Semitic countries of the world that they're wrong and that they're arrogant and that they're deserving of all kinds of things, negative, sorry, and they have to do tshuva. We also have to do tshuva. We have to do tshuva. So in this week's parsha, it helps us to do tshuva on a very, very major, important idea in the concept of Hashem Hu HaElokim. So first of all, the beginning is Parshas Bahar, and the very, very famous teaching that you all know, Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe Bahar Sinai, Lemor, Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu at Har Sinai, saying, and then gives the laws of Shemitah, and then gives the laws of Yovel. Shemitah means every 7th year we stop farming the land, we let the land rest, just like on Shabbos, every 7th day, Shabbos, Shabbat. Saturday in the English, we don't work. We don't do any creative labor. For those of you who want to learn the laws of Shabbos, drop us a little note and we'll send you ways to do that. So just like on Shabbos, the Jewish person doesn't do anything to show his dominion over the world, so too in Shemitah, we have a whole year. And we let the land of Israel, only in Israel, we let the land of Israel lie fallow. We don't farm it. We don't plant. We don't harvest the regular way. And the land replenishes herself. And Rashi says right away, why is this mitzvah said Bahar Sinai? All the mitzvahs, Rashi says, just like, why does it say, and Hashem said, my inyan Shemitah Har Sinai, Esel Har Sinai. And by the way, this is an expression in modern Hebrew. When you say something out of left field, in American English we'll call it out of left field. You say something that has nothing to do with something else. You make a statement of apparent disconnection. A person will say in Hebrew, "My inyan Shemitah Eitzel Hasinai." What does one thing have to do with another? So why does it say here? Why does it say here that Hashem spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu and gave the laws of Shemitah and Har Sinai? So Rashi says very simply, says just like all the mitzvahs, v'halo kol mitzvahs nimru b'Har Sinai. All the mitzvahs are given to Har Sinai. Rashi says, Ela ma Shemitah nemru kalotea fratotea v'diktuchea b'Sinai. Just like all the details of Shemitah were given to Har Sinai. Af kula nemru b'Sinai. All of the details of every single law that we have from the beginning of creation until the end of creation, the details and the laws and the derivations were given at Har Sinai. In other words, when we say now that on Shabbos you can't turn on an electrical light. So how do we know that? So we know that because the rules of how to derive halacha were given to Moshe Rabbeinu, our teacher, and Har Sinai at Mount Sinai, not just the laws, but the derivation of laws, the generalization of laws, and then the details of laws. Everything was given to Hashem, by Hashem to Moshe Rabbeinu at Har Sinai. So if a person will say, oh, a rabbinical law, this, that, no, there's no such thing. Everything was given by God to Moshe Rabbeinu at Mount Sinai, and we have been living our lives according to this, and we have been giving our lives for the sake of this for 3,333 years. It's the kind of tradition that a Jewish person laid down their life for. If somebody said to me, like, how does your mother make apple pie? And I said, well, this was her recipe. And someone said to me, do you know, is that for sure her recipe? And I would say, yeah. And then someone would say, well, would you die in order to, like, if I said to you, change the recipe or die, would you die for that recipe? I would say, of course not. Like, it's not important to me. But Jews over the years have been killed, persecuted, etc., and we don't let go. We're still here, and we don't let go of our tradition. Okay, so we know that all the laws and details of laws were given at Har Sinai, everything, and not just that, but the laws and details of laws were given at Har Sinai dependent on also the era that we're living in. So, for example, In olden days, nobody had to rule on electricity because they didn't have it. Nowadays, we do. In the olden days, nobody was able to access Eretz Yisrael, so we never had to ask about the laws of Eretz Yisrael. Now we do, Baruch Hashem. Okay, so the question, though, is like this. Why was Shemitah chosen as that one mitzvah to associate with Har Sinai? What's so important about Shemitah that we want to associate it with and prove and connect it to the experience of the whole Jewish people at Har Sinai? Why does it say that about Shabbos? Shabbos is a very primary mitzvah, kashrus, avodah zarah, idolatry, and forbidden idolatry. Why of all of the mitzvot was Shemitah chosen to be the focal point of the verification of the Torah and the details of the Torah at Har Sinai? What's so important about Shemitah? Not just that. If you're living in the land of Israel, nowadays, Shemitah is not hard to keep at all. And I'm not even talking about the heter mechira. I'm talking about just if you want to keep Shemitah 100%, a mahajim and a mahajim perfectly, you just go and shop in a store that keeps Shemitah. We're not farmers. Most of us are not farmers. And so for the majority of the Jewish people, Shemitah is not such a hard mitzvah to keep. It's not even such an inconvenient mitzvah to keep. In olden days, absolutely yes, but nowadays not. And since the Torah has to be relevant to all times and all places, and not just that, but what about Jews outside of Eretz Yisrael? Shemitah isn't even a story for them. Maybe you'll say that now that we export fruits, so there could be every once in a while you get a notice from the kashrus board that says, Costco imported red peppers from Israel and they're shvius, and they're Shemitah produce, so don't eat it or don't buy it, or buy the entire load up and then dispose of it in the proper way. But really, in Chutz La'aretz, you don't have, you're not allowed to leave the land of Israel with Shemitah produce, and you can't take Shemitah produce outside of Israel. But it's not what is the relevance? Why is Shemitah so important? And so Rav Steinsaltz has a very, very beautiful teaching based on the teachings of Hasidus and Kabbalah. And he explains something very interesting. There are laws of property. Now, here in the land of Israel, the interesting thing in the land of Israel is that when you buy an apartment here, Be'ezrat Hashem, everybody should buy an apartment or should buy a house or should buy a farm or a piece of land. Don't just buy a cemetery plot. Please buy a place that you can live. So here in Eretz Yisrael, when you buy an apartment, it's a funny thing, but you're not really buying the apartment. You're really leasing it for 99 years from the Israeli government. I don't exactly know all the details of how that works, but that's just what the reality is. And actually, in the Torah, there's a halacha of if you buy a piece of land, there's a difference of opinion. If you buy a house in a walled city from a Jew, and if you buy a house, if a Levi buys a house in the Levium city, there's a difference in halachas between what happens at the Shemitah year and at the Yovel year. Does the house go back to the original owner by the Yovel year? Yes, but not for the Levi gets to keep it. Why is that? So Rav Steinsaltz points out something interesting. The whole idea of Shemitah isn't about just giving the land a rest so that in the 8th year it'll produce, the nutrients get renewed, the land gets the nutrients of the land get refreshed. It's not about that. Not just that, but there are certain farmers who will say that actually it's much better to rotate crops rather than completely let go of a whole year of not planting the soil. In other words, one year you plant corn, the next year you plant in the same field wheat, the next year you might take a break or plant half and half. Shemitah is not just for the agricultural benefit of the farmer and of the crops. Elama, what is Shemitah? So Shemitah is like Shabbos. It's a testimony to the fact that I don't own anything and that Hashem owns everything, and this land is His, and my money is His, and my actual body is His, and everything is Hashem's, and I am just the renter. I am not the owner ever. I'm not the owner of anything. I don't own my body, which is why a person cannot harm their body and has to take good care of their body, and etc. And I don't own the apartment, and I don't own I don't own my money. I have Hashem owns everything, and because Hashem owns everything, He's the one to tell me what to do with it. And so for one full year, I need to integrate that brain into my brain. For one full year, Shabbos, we do it once a week. We review and review once a week that we don't work, we don't produce, because all week long we're producing and we're accomplishing. And so come Shabbos, and we're not allowed to produce, we're not allowed to accomplish. Spiritually, we're allowed to, but not physically, we're not allowed. So because we're all week long busy accomplishing, so Hashem says, okay, once a week you have to reinforce the idea that you're not doing anything, and Hashem is doing everything. And then farmers can't do this once a week. It's just not physically possible. So Hashem says, okay, farmers, once a year, 1 year out of 7, you let go and you don't do anything. And it's not just about you're not accomplishing, but it's really more about it doesn't belong to you, because people who own land get very attached to just like people who own property get attached to their property, because indeed the soul of a person is indeed on the same wavelength, so to speak, on the same frequency as their property. That's just how it works. Were you ever drawn to something? Let's say, did you ever go to a store? Were you ever drawn to a store, and then when you walk into a store and you're like, there it is, the dress I was looking for? How'd that happen? It's because there's a certain frequency, a certain ownership, a certain energy. I don't know how to explain it, but there's a spiritual connection between you, your soul, and that piece of that dress, or that whatever it is that book, whatever it is that you are drawn towards, that you have to, and then you purchase it, and then you actually legally make it yours. But it was there, it was yours to begin with. In other words, it was associated with you, it was connected to you. So people are very connected to the land, especially because farmers, even now, even with all of our technology, farmers still have to be Balei Emunah. The Gemara says that the greatest career that you could choose for yourself that will highlight and upgrade your Emunah is farming, because you're so dependent on Hashem. It could be an early rain, it could be a late rain, it could be a tornado, it could be a hurricane, it could be that the pipes that you spend so much money, the irrigation pipes get clogged and don't work. There's so many things that could happen. And so farmers are very attached. That little boy who was murdered, oh, he's such a beautiful little boy, that shepherd boy, was so devoted to his sheep that his sheep came back to tell, because the sheep came back without him, because he was murdered by Arab Muslims. So they were so connected that the sheep felt bad. They went back alone, as if to say, he's not here, you better go find him. Anyway, so those same farmers it has to be in their bones a whole year, reinforce. This is Hashem's land, it's Hashem's land, and Hashem is letting me rent it. Hashem is letting me have it. Now, why do the Levium have a different halacha? Levium never have property. When you sell a house to a Levi, if a Levi buys a house in a city, it becomes his forever. Why? Because the Levium never had property. They learned this in the beginning of their life. They own nothing. They own only what they eat, only what the Jewish people benefit them from charity and from the Truma and the Meiser and from the Korbanos, the Kohanim. But the Levium are brought up with the concept that they don't own anything. So they need less reminders. So when they buy a house, it doesn't have to go back to the original owner during the Yovel, because they don't need that reminder. They can have that. They have that in their bones even without that reminder. Just like women, right? As women, we know there are certain mitzvot that we're not required to do because we don't need it. Our soul can do that mitzvah in a different way. We don't need to put tefillin to have an antenna to connect to Hashem. We don't need to wear tzitzis to feel like Hashem is protecting us and to have protection of on ourselves and on our body and to remember Hashem's mitzvah. We don't need certain things. You want to do it, you could, but you don't need to. So the Leviim don't need to be reminded that nothing is theirs and everything is Hashem's, because that's how they live. But we need that reminder every single 7 years. We need that reminder, and so Hashem reminds us. And that's why also the first Rashi in the Torah talks the same thing. Right? The first Rashi in the Torah says, why did Hashem start with Bereshis, not with the first mitzvah? And Rashi says, because in the end of time, there's going to be a very big discussion about who owns the land of Israel. And we have to get it into our bones that Hashem owns the world. Hashem is in charge, the creator, Hashem Baruch Hu. He's the only one. He owns everything. He owns us. He owns the property. He owns the globe. He owns the cosmos. He owns everything. And he who owns everything decided which souls own which pieces of land, which souls are connected with which pieces of land in this world. What resonates? Where's your? And by the way, in Eretz Yisrael also, you have the place within. Every Jew owns Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is the land of the Jewish people, and within Eretz Yisrael, each Jew has a place where they resonate, where they feel the most comfortable spiritually. Even though all of us feel the most comfortable spiritually in the old city, that's because the Beis Hamikdash belongs to every Jew. All the tribes have a portion of the Beis Hamikdash. So when you go to the Kotel, you want to stay there forever. But in terms of the land, in terms of where you want to live, every Jew has a portion that his or her soul is connected to in this land, in this country. And some people, and it's funny because when you're lucky enough, when Hashem has given you the merit to live in the place where your soul is connected to, then you feel a little bit, like a stranger or like a tourist when you travel in Eretz Yisrael. We love every inch of Eretz Yisrael, but it's happy to come home to your place. And when people will live in a different city than you, and they're happy to, let's say you live in Yerushalayim Kodesh, and it was such a major, infinitely valued zechus to live here. And you have a friend who lives someplace else, and they feel like home sweet home when they go back to wherever they go. And you feel like, how could you say that? Because that's their home. And that's okay. Everybody has a different soul. Anyway, so this is the beginning of the Parsha Bahar. And the idea is to remember, so we have to remember and reinforce in ourselves. The first Rashi, the joke is that they never read that Rashi in the UN. They never will read that Rashi in the UN. I mean, until Mashiach comes. Then maybe he'll, before he totally either disbands the UN or kashers it and gets everybody to do tshuva, maybe he'll read from the podium. That will be, I'm sure he's not going to walk into that building because he's going to be here in Eretz Yisrael, but maybe they'll send him a video of him reading that first Rashi to the world. But it's not for them. It's not for them to know, it's for us to know. When the Jewish people reinforce, when each of us reinforces that this land is ours, Hashem gave it to us, Hashem is in charge, nothing belongs to anybody, Hashem chooses. When we mechazek that in ourselves, when we strengthen that in ourselves, then slowly that truth filters out to the entire world. Because, now, the world is just, it's just saturated, inundated, flooded with misinformation. That's how they call it now, right? They don't call it lies. Whatever word that you use now has to be politically correct. So they'll call it misinformation. But the whole world is flooded with one big lie, lies and lies and lies. And all of that's important. Why is Hashem letting that happen? You always have to say it's not just CNN, it's not just the BBC, and it's not just Iran. Why is Hashem behind all of this? What's Hashem's message to us here? What's Hashem telling us? And one of the things I think, from what I've heard from people in America, since I was born in America, so I know them more. Maybe the people in the UK can tell me if it's happening there also, is that Jews, unaffiliated Jews, unaffiliated, unobservant Jews, because of what's happening now, and because of the absurdity of what's happening now, so they're coming connected more with their Judaism, with their roots. They're coming connected more with this land is ours. They might have felt, except for let's say certain really, really far off, far gone liberal Jews. But except for them, most Jews in America are feeling a connection and a sympathy for what's going on here in Israel. And they're feeling horrified that the International Court, the ICC, has equated Israel with Hamas. How do you do that? How do you just look at the reality and look at history? When people say, some of the lawyers on that thing were celebrity lawyers who are Arabs from Arab descent and from Ishmael, and they'll say things like statements that sound so clear. They'll say like, a baby is a baby. If you kill a Palestinian baby or if you kill a Jewish baby, it's all killing babies and it all has to stop. As if Israelis are killing Arab babies. Did you ever see an Israeli, whether a civilian or a soldier, take an Arab baby and chop its head off on purpose? For vengeance? For bloodlust? Did you ever see that? Did anybody ever see that? Did anyone ever do that? No. Did anyone ever do that and film it and be proud of it? No. You can't equate murderers with defenders. You can't equate an army that's trying to defend the country with people who are literally murderers and thieves. Even America just now, they built this whole pier in Gaza. Gaza borders the Mediterranean. It's a beautiful, it's potentially a very beautiful place. Gush Katif, when Jews lived there, I was there, it was gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's like the same climate as Tel Aviv. They could have lived a beautiful life there. They don't want to, because this is a religious war, and that's what the West doesn't understand. Or maybe they do. They just hate Jews so much because it's based in their DNA, which it is. Anti-Semitism is in the DNA of a non-Jew, and that's for our benefit also, to keep us separate from them. But they built this pier. America built this pier so that they could bring humanitarian aid, quote unquote, as if any of the people there are humans. Sorry to say that, but Tera Adam means a wild thing in the shape of a human being. So they tried to get them some humanitarian aid, and the Americans themselves said this morning, they don't know if anything is getting to the people, because Hamas right away takes it. They take it for themselves, and they don't distribute it to the citizens. If there are any citizens that are, I once heard an Arab give a Muslim Arab, a Gazan. They interviewed him. Now, it's hard to know what's true and what's not true, but he said that in Gaza, you have to belong to a political party. You have to choose. Are you a member of Hamas? Are you a member of Fatah? Or are you not a member of anything? If you're a member of Hamas and you get Kupat Cholim, you get medical benefits, and you get financial benefits, etc. if you sign on the dotted line. And then, by the way, they can call you into their army, and they can make you fight, etc. If you're a member of Hamas, you get half. And Fatah, you get half. Fatah is the Palestinian Authority. And if you're not a member of, if you don't sign on anything, you don't have any rights. You don't get food, you don't get medical, you don't get education, you just get beaten up. So everybody signs on the Hamas dotted line because that gives the most money. That's what I heard an Arab that was interviewed by another Arab or by somebody else. I heard that on one of the secular, So it's hard to know if that's true or not. But the Americans themselves said they built a pier there. They tried to give financial aid. They don't know if it's getting anywhere. They also said today, I'm sure you saw that, Project Veritas, when when they send their undercover agents to take out people for lunch, and they're interviewing them, and the people don't know that they're being interviewed, and they're filming it, and they get these guys into trouble, right? I don't know. The project Veritas is it's interesting because Veritas in Greek means truth, right? You know that, and they, they of course are, maybe they take them to court all the time. I don't know exactly how it works, but I just saw today, it's now on all of the news feeds, that there was this kid, young, he looks like a young kid, and he works for he works for the assistant of the something or other policy manager under in the Biden administration, and he said, really, Biden is very anti-Israel and very anti the whole war, but he has to win the next election, so he's going to be nice, and he's not going to be so strong and anti-Israel now. Rather, he'll be nice and he'll be like moderate, and then as soon as but it's very important for him to win the next election, chas v'shalom, so that he can, just say no to Israel and tell Israel what to do. Anyway, okay, so we're in the place now where everything is happening very quickly. Today is Pesach Sheini. Go eat your matzah and ask Hashem for a second chance. Give Hashem a second chance. Give the people in your life a second chance. Forgive people. You don't have to hang out with the people that you have bad energy with. It doesn't mean that you have to, hang out with them and be irritated every second of your life. But forgive them and be mechabed, honor, and little derech eretz to each person. When you forgive someone, Hashem forgives you. That's just the easiest formula in the world to understand. When you help someone who doesn't deserve help, Hashem helps you, and us who don't deserve necessarily help. So Pesach Sheini, tomorrow again is the man. That means that make sure that tomorrow you thank Hashem for all the food and for all the healing tonight and tomorrow. And it's exactly 1 month past Pesach. It's hard to believe that tonight, a month ago, was the Seder. So I'm sitting here relaxed, right? We're learning. It's hard to get relaxed. Could you imagine? Exactly a month ago on the Hebrew calendar, this is Erev Pesach. What were you doing Erev Pesach? What were we all doing Erev Pesach, right? Now we were burning the chametz. Then we finished burning the chametz, and we were getting ready. Does it feel like a month ago? It feels like forever ago. It feels like it never happened. And it feels like yesterday. Lag Bomer is Motzei Shabbos and Sunday. Very, very big day, as you all know, Lag Bomer. Rishon Bar Yochai, he's coming to bat for us. He's a neshama that we don't understand. Rishon Bar Yochai had the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu. They say that Rabbi Nachman had his neshama. We don't understand these things about souls and how great these people are. We just don't. When we see what we don't understand, we're going to be shocked, because we're living as much as smart as we are, as spiritually awake as we think we are. We're so not aware of all. Not that I'm aware. We're all not aware of all the different levels that Hashem is that exists at this point. At the same time as we're existing, there's layers and layers and layers. That's why in Chassidus, the Baal Shem Tov said, just be happy. You're really like a little kid. You're really like a little kid that Hashem is supporting you and taking care of you. And you think you're doing a big deal. Wow, you daven shachars. Wow, you said a bracha. Like, we're mamish like babies spiritually. So B'Shem Bar Yochai, Motzei Shabbos and Sunday, of course, you know that the government and Hashem has decreed, not the government, but Hashem has decreed that we don't go to Meron this year, because Hashem allows the north, what's going on in the north. Hashem is allowing that to happen. For some reason, Hashem doesn't want us to be physically by Rabbi Shimon. But the Yanuka, the Rabbi Shlomo Yehuda Beri, says you don't need to go to Meron. He said this even 2 years ago. He said you don't need to go to Kivrei Tzadikim. He said you don't need to just open up the Sefer. If you open up the Sefer and you learn the teachings of the tzaddik, then you're at his kever. He said the outside of the sefer is the Sion, and the inside of the sefer is the neshama of the tzaddik. So just open up the Zohar. If you don't have one, they're giving them out now. There's pamphlets all over the place. Just have a little chelik, a little portion of the Zohar. Read the Hebrew, read the Aramaic. Even if you read the Aramaic, you don't know what you're saying. It's holy. Anyway, also, so Motzei Shabbos, you're going to go to a mezuzah. You're going to go to a bonfire, and you're going to remember the teaching Rabbi Shimon taught. Teaching Rabbi Shimon taught is it's better to jump into a fire than to hurt, embarrass, or give pain to another Jew. And if we did hurt, embarrass, or give pain to another Jew, just say you're sorry. Just say you're sorry, and I'm not going to do it again. And ask Hashem today, especially to ask Hashem to have a greater sensitivity to all the weaknesses, whatever you're weak in. There are certain people who their neshama is so sensitive to other people that they would never hurt them. But they don't keep, let's say, our other misses so great. Some people who are very makpid on certain misses, but they're not so nice to people. They're a little bit callous, they're a little bit insensitive. Maybe they themselves are not sensitive to other people hurting them, so they're not so sensitive to hurting other people. Or they're just not aware. People are not aware. You'd be very surprised how many people are just not aware of other people's feelings. Or they can't believe that a person would be so sensitive about X, Y, or Z. So today, ask Hashem to help you with Ben Adam L'Chaveiro, and Motzei Shabbos also, when you get near the fire, warm yourself by the fire of Rabbi Shimon. Warm yourself. Ask Hashem. First of all, ask Hashem to help you again, not to hurt any other Jew. And then ask Hashem to make our Yiddishkeit fiery. Make our Yiddishkeit, our Shomer Torah mitzvahs, our keeping of mitzvahs. Let it be with passion. Let it be with energy. Let it be with positivity, warmth. Let it be with warmth, not cold. We don't want to be cold-hearted Jews. We want to be warm Jews, Geschmacke Jews. That's why I always thought about so many of the differences between Ashkenazim and Sephardim. But even just geographically, Ashkenazim lived in cold countries. Russia, Europe, America, cold. Sephardim lived in warm countries, Middle East, Spain, hot countries. So they're warmer people. Their emunah is warmer. I have a friend, I love her. She's such a special person. A recent friend. I just met her now. She lives in Rishon, near where the Yenuka has his shul there. So I go to her Shabbos is when I go there. She's a real Sephardi, a real Taimani. And I could ask her, like, how do I get to the bus stop? And she'll tell me, and then she'll say, Hashem should protect you and love you, and you should be happy, and you should be safe, and I love you. Like every sentence is the information that you need, plus brachas and love and chibuk and nishuk and I love you and come back. All these things. That's how they talk. They're very, as you know, because they lived in even warmer countries. So we have to be warmer Jews. Us Ashkenazim have to become warmer. A lot of warm. Don't be chas v'shalom. I shouldn't say on all Ashkenazi Jews, but you know what I mean. On Lag Bomer, all of us could be warmer to Hashem. We could be more enthusiastic, energetic about our mitzvahs, more loving in our mitzvahs, more gishmak in our mitzvahs. I don't know if there's gishmak is a very gishmakadik word. I don't know if there's an English translation for that. It's a Yiddish word. It's a cold word, right, from Yiddish. Yiddish could be a warm language also. But we should be more geschmack in our Yiddishkeit. We should find a shir that you really, really love and listen to it. So that Torah learning should be geschmack. Torah learning should be delicious, should be warm, should be just make you feel good. That's Lag Bomer. And then comes the end of the Sfira, the last 2 weeks, Yesod Malchus, tough weeks of really getting our act together before Shavuos. So we'll talk about that B'ezrat Hashem next week. And the week of Hod, today is the 29th day of the Omer, the first day of the 5th week of the Omer is Chesed of Hod. So really enjoy saying thank you to Hashem for all the brachas that you have. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here in Yerushalayim HaKodesh, perfect weather. Now it's the middle of the day, so you might want to stay inside and have a drink. of something cool. Stay hydrated, but beautiful weather here in Eretz Yisrael. Let's hope that the fire of the Torah, the Eish Torah, wakes us up and warms us up, and there should be a hafsakat Eish Neshamayim, and no more Jews should be hurt. No more. Enough. No more Jews should be hurt. No more fire. No more weapons. We should turn all the weapons, as we say, into economic prosperity. So have a great day, everybody. I'm looking on two screens here, so sorry that my going back and forth. Thank you for coming, all the Zoom people. Thank you for coming, all the YouTube people. And now I'm going to end this, and I'm going to say hi to the Zoom people. Bye, everybody here. And let's say hi to everybody on the Zoom. Hi, Gitzi.